Alright, welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name is Elliott and you're watching Rickety Ski Reviews. Today, we're going to answer some questions right off the bat. Over the weekend, I got a ton of comments, tons of questions. It's more than I could possibly answer, but I'm going to try. And I'm just kind of going to curate the really difficult or complex questions that I think, in my opinion, are just easier to answer verbally rather than like try to type it all out 100 times. Or when I saw like a comment that I've seen pop up multiple times, I thought I would kind of address it. So without further ado, let's help you guys out, because right now, I know I talk about this like once a week, but ski inventory has been so wacky lately, and I get emails from my side where companies are like, hey, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna make a video about this? I mean, and I typically tell people, I'll make that video if I feel like it. I mean, that's the nice part. I don't work for anyone. I literally just do it if I think it's relevant or if I think that there are good deals out there for you guys. It's always a fine balance. Like, okay, if I make it too often, it gets kind of annoying. Or if I, don't time it correctly, then you didn't get as good of a deal, but you also get like better inventory choices. So having the right size ski is more important than saving $30, $40 or whatever. So it's always hard for me to do, but I do track it. I do track prices and look at inventory, and I have never seen ski prices look like July prices this late into the year. It's usually August to September, like last call, get on the bus for deals. And I think that these ski companies have hit such a slowdown on people buying stuff. I've noticed it with other channels that promote selling stuff. They're constantly promoting stuff, whereas in the past, they kind of did it passively. It seems like there's a big push to move inventory. And I know firsthand people who work in shops that are in other towns in Idaho where they're like, we cannot move stuff. We are just sitting on a ton of ski inventory. Maybe that's changed. Maybe they've had sales in the last month that have moved that stuff. But from all the whispers I'm hearing and rumors, it seems like people are really struggling to get rid of 2024 skis. And then it's like, okay, do we just sell the 2025s full price because that's what people pay in December? I'm not sure. I've never seen the seasons run into each other this aggressively. It's very similar if you followed mountain bike prices at all. It's very similar to that. For a while, you couldn't get mountain bikes. Then all of a sudden, you couldn't get rid of a mountain bike, just because there was a slowdown in production and it was really hard to buy new, so then used prices went up, and now it's completely flipped on its head. It's very cheap to buy a used mountain bike, and a lot of manufacturers and a lot of sellers are selling new stuff for way less because they just cannot move. And I think also it must have been like a forecasting error where they saw this COVID boom and, we're kind of analyzing, oh, it's on this trajectory, rather than like, okay, well, everyone bought their skis or everyone bought their bikes. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents, but anyway, I like making these videos because I do think right now you can get some good deals, so I'm going to try to help as many of you guys as I can today before I need to go pick up my kids. Okay, the first email comes from Brad Plummer. They say, hi Elliott, long-time viewer, first-time emailer. Thank you for being a long-time viewer. Need help picking out a ski. Home mountain is Palisades and Alpine in Tahoe. Okay, that's where Zach is from. Not to dox him, but like he grew up skiing there. I am looking for a powder biased all mountain ski for my daily driver. Okay, already I think we're gonna see an issue there. You mean you want a ski that kind of doesn't exist? Okay. Okay, anyway, I was thinking about a Bent 110 or Ranger 102. Ideally, I could find a 2024 pair. In terms of ability, I'm an ex-racer and consider myself to be an advanced technical skier. I'm now 39 years old, 5'10". Really appreciate your perspective. Thanks, Brad. All right, Brad, I appreciate you watching, and I will try to give you my perspective. You just might not like it. I would not get a daily driver that is also a powder ski. There's a couple that are kind of good candidates, but honestly, you're gonna end up spending a lot of money and end up with a ski that frustrates you on the powder days and frustrates you as a daily driver. If I had to make a choice like that, probably what I would get is an Atomic Maverick 105 CTI, or you could get the Peak 104 by Dave. The Bent 110's not a terrible option. It's not got a lot of stiffness to it. It's more of like, I want to go in the trees and I also want to do powder. It can carve pretty decently, but remember, it's a 110 ski. Like, you're gonna have to wash out a lot of your turns on those resort days, early season and late season, because it's got that diversity. that Horizon Tech really gets hung up on the wet, heavier snow in the spring. If you want my honest opinion, look for some on sale skis now and just get 2 different skis. If I was looking for a daily driver, like, you can find a really affordable Atomic Maverick 95 Ti right now. And if you know that you like the bent Horizon Tech, you're still gonna get some of that. It's not gonna be powder specific, but it's gonna have some of that. You could also go with a Atomic Maverick 100 Ti. You're gonna have some sluggish turning, you're gonna make sacrifices. But if you want my totally honest opinion, if I was living in Tahoe where you live, I would buy 2 cheap skis right now. See if you can find the Atomic Bent 110. Right now, I've seen it for a short period at REI, it was $375, which indicates to me that the other retailers may go that low. You can still find it for very cheap on Evo and other places. The problem is when REI brought it to $375, all the sizes sold out really quickly. So you're gonna run into some of that. So what I would do, if I were you, based on everything I know, I would buy 2 skis. I'd buy a Volkl Kendo 88, because I know, at least from what Zach said, that you get some of that Sierra cement. I think that'd be a really good daily driver. It's got a little bit more weight behind it for when you get into some of those stickier situations. And you're an ex-racer, so I'm sure you'll be able to ski it. And then just like buy a Bent 110 and have a designated powder ski. There really is no ski that's gonna do it perfectly. If you can only buy 1 ski right now, the problem is that the QST series, some of them are sold out. You could get the QST 98. That'd probably do you for most of the powder and a lot of the daily driving and still be comfortable. It's a very comfortable carve with that double sidewall. You kind of sit on it. So if you have to only buy 1 ski, buy a QST 98, but that ski will be made. I mean, that ski just will be made so that it's not applicable anymore. It's gonna be, then later you're gonna buy a powder ski. Oh, I like this for powder more. And then you're gonna get a thinner daily driver, and then eventually that QST 98 just is like filling a weird gap for, like, I can only travel with this ski. In my opinion, save money by spending a little bit more money now. And there are no shortage of deals. Get yourself, or a Mantra 88, I guess it's called now, then get yourself a Bent 110 for the powder days, or do like I do, get an Atomic Maverick 95. I know Zach keeps a pair of those out in Tahoe for skiing on, and then get yourself a designated powder ski. If I'm like shackled to your parameters here, probably the best bet is an Atomic Maverick 105 CTI. It is a 2025 ski, so if you want that ski, which will get the closest to what you're saying, you're gonna spend 800 bucks. Save your money, get 2 $400 skis, I guess pay more for bindings or whatever, but you can get a lot more bang for your buck. You could get an Atomic Maverick 100 Ti right now for $479.97. I guess that would be my answer, but my real answer is get a daily driver and then a powder ski. You'll thank me later. Yes, it'll be more money up front. Yes, you'll be grumbling, but honestly, you're only gonna spend a few more hundred for a lot more ski in either direction. Because like I said, you can get stuff on sale now. So yeah, get like a Kendo 88, a Black Crowes Octo, I guess those aren't on sale right now, and then get like an Atomic Bent 110 or a Salomon QST 106. That would be my advice. Yeah, I know you don't want to hear that, but overall value, that'll be much better. And if you have to only own 1 pair of skis, your house is literally just, you can only fit 1 pair of skis inside your house, check out the Atomic Maverick 100 Ti. It's not gonna do a great job of anything, but it'll cover a lot of ground for what you're paying. And I'll put links down below. Please consider using that. I don't make a ton of money because I don't have sponsors or anything like that, so this is a free way to support the channel if you're already buying skis anyway. Anyway, Bradley, thank you for being a long-time watcher, and I hope that helped answer your question. All right, the next comment comes from Daniel the Manual from my CARV video. With all due respect, what would your business model look like if you owned CARV? What would you sell the product and service for? Yes, as consumers, we want to buy quality products at cheap prices and do not want to pay subscription fees. However, that would not be a sustainable business model for a company like CARV. I am a CARV owner, so my opinion may be a bit biased, but at my local resort, 1 single private lesson is $400. I spend significantly less each year for my CARV subscription than the cost of 1 private lesson, which to me makes it worth it right there. I also ski every day off of work that I can during ski season and live close to an indoor facility, so I'm able to ski all year. So the price per use is better and more justifiable than someone who only skis a few times per year. I understand the frustration with subscription fatigue, but you are getting continual service from CARV. For me, I find that useful enough to justify the investment. My skiing has improved and I find better skiing to be more enjoyable, not to mention safer. Okay, I just watched Tom Gelly's video on this, and they had kind of the same talking points, which makes this comment a little suspect. Because that's literally what the CARV people were saying word for word. My skiing is improved, and I find better skiing to be more enjoyable. So you're getting better skiing, and it's safer. These are literally the talking points from these guys. Daniel the Manual. Okay. Getting past that. Here are my thoughts on CARV, and I've gotten a ton of comments about this, so this is why I'm addressing this one, because it's nicely written, and some of you guys were like a little snippy. Here's what I'll say. If it was me running CARV, what would I change? You buy the product once. Yeah, that's tricky. You're in a tricky spot because you need to support the product long term. I think the hardware is so expensive that they've kind of trapped themselves in this area. Here's what I would do. I would say you can do it how it is now with a couple tweaks that would really fix it. In my opinion, if you buy a piece of hardware, like especially the people that bought CARV 1, you pay $400, you get that software for life. You bought that product for that purpose and it just runs for life. You got the money up front, move on. Then maybe you sell a cheaper hardware, but it's more locked into the software. Maybe it doesn't have memory to store the data, maybe it needs to go through the app, and you just kind of tier it from there. That's one option. What I think is more practical with the hardware they have now and what they could do is make the hardware so even if you don't have the software subscription, it still gives you the data. It gives you just raw data, right? And then the people can translate if they want, or if they already have context for the data, they can use it if they've been using CARV for a while. And if they want to pay for the software, then the software will help them translate it. It'll give them suggestions on how to change their skiing based on the data. You're basically acting as a digital coach. That's what CARV's like whole slogan is, right? We're digital coaching. So the software is the digital coach and the hardware is just getting data and giving it to you. I think that that's the best way, because if they don't continue to support the software, then your data is pretty much useless. Whereas I think that would help prevent the hardware from being bricked if CARV doesn't offer the same support. If 5 to 10 years they just are doing a different thing, they don't support that same hardware anymore, just make it so it's a data collection device, and then people are still able to use it long term, so it's not just hardware that's going to end up in the landfill. It's still useful to people, and that way you can kind of future-proof the product, and it's a pro-consumer move in my opinion. And I think that what people will find is, hey, this raw data isn't actually that helpful, or I need help interpreting it, or I need feedback on what to improve to work with that data. People don't want to take the time to sift through that data. And so I think if you offered that option, people would be more than happy to pay for the software. They'd be like, cool, I get it. I want that coaching. Maybe even provide like support from actual skiers. That'd be my advice. That'd be something I would feel more comfortable with, and I think it would help justify the cost of the hardware. Because yes, right now, oh, the hardware's free. Everyone in my comments, the hardware's free. Didn't you see that? It's like, it's free on a promotion. It's like the early bird promotion, but there is no guarantee that it'll be free in the long term. All right, Common Exploit says, what bothers me is that so many of the reviews on YouTube and written online has a huge US bias. As someone who lives in Europe and is all about carving skis, I found the focus on fat skis very jarring. Also, I never understood the perception of carving skis being hard to handle. Yeah, it's weird. The US and Europe, at least as far as I understand it, the US used to be more like what I saw in Europe. I only skied in Chamonix for a couple of days, so it's very limited, but I was shocked by how everyone is more focused on carving. There's a lot of lessons, there's a lot more accessibility to it, prices are better. There's a bigger culture of carving and perfecting the turn. That's probably why you guys are so dominant in the World Cup. And in the US, we just have these, we've kind of got this counterculture that has taken over and become the entire culture. I think part of it is that all mountain skis carve so well that you don't have to sacrifice anymore. Like Zach and I could ski on an Atomic Maverick 95 Ti, and yeah, we'll lose a little bit of performance in our carving, but it makes sense. The other thing is just the climate. Our snow out west is very soft. It used to be that there was a big East Coast culture, and now we kind of have an emerging West Coast culture of skiing. Specifically in like Utah and Idaho. There's always kind of been in California in the Tahoe area, but Utah and Idaho is kind of emerging into its ski scene. Our snow is much softer out here. When I first came to Idaho from Vermont, I got a concussion because I literally put my skis in and I really like put a bunch of pressure to show off a turn, and my skis just sank in and flipped me over and I hit my head. So yeah, it's weird, but it does kind of make sense when you look at it, because when you have that really soft snow, having a wider platform gives you more ski to stand on. I think some of it too is that there's just an emerging culture of freestyle skiing, of big mountain freeride skiing that is kind of attracting kids. I think racing has kind of shot itself in the foot a ton because not many kids want to stand there and be yelled at by some guy who grew up skiing on straight skis, you know? Like I did. I hated it. I went to snowboarding because of that. And I only came back to racing because it was fun for me. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that we don't have the best racing culture and people have just kind of given up on carving. I do think as my generation of skiers gets older and you can't be doing backflips every day, there's gonna be more movement of people going back to carving. But it is very weird, and I agree. I think that a lot of people, I've said this 100 times, a lot of American West Coast skiers, if they try just a slightly narrow ski, I'm not talking 60 to 70, I'm talking like 88 to 95, if they came down from their daily driver of like 105 to a 90 or an 88, I bet they would have so much fun. They just realize how responsive a ski can really be. So I agree with you, and yeah, but I also have a deep appreciation for European ski culture. And in fact, I am planning on going out to Europe to ski this winter, so I'll keep you guys posted on that. So anyway, that's the end of the video. If you like this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing. That's a free way to support the channel. I'll also have links down below to all the skis I was talking about today. And even if you don't buy the ski, if you click on it and buy something else, that is a free way to support the channel. As always, don't buy anything if you don't need it. I'm not that kind of influencer. I don't even calling myself an influencer feels gross. But please do that. We also have memberships if you want to support the channel directly. But as always, more than anything, just thanks for taking the time, you know, to watch my videos, to be here. I know you guys take time out of your day and it means a ton to me. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.